low energy chemical reactions by low voltage cathode plasma electrolysis.
Buongiorno cari amici italiani, ascoltatori internazionali. Oggi io parlo solo inglese, scusate. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So I would like to present some results of the Leonard by low voltage cathode plasma electrolysis. Actually, it's very funny that I am the only representative of Germany, at least among the oral presentations, and I am Russian, of course. So Russia also represents Germany here. My aim, as I'm working mostly in the universities, different universities, to make some kind of propaganda of Leonard and to show to the society that it's actually a very interesting topic, not only crazy people do it. So I represent the teams from different cities to German cities, beautiful, and one Russian city, Tomsk. So, speaking about the energetic of this Leonard reaction, we know this picture actually very well, and this is it must be something definitely, as well as nano was placed between chemistry and biology a certain amount of years ago. Also, something must be placed in the energetic scale between chemistry and atomic physics. Because energy is consequent, it's not with some gaps, and might be it's Leonard reactions. We must learn it, and because the energy of chemical reactions, of course, are much lower than compared to the energy of atomic interaction. And also, I would like to say that it's on this slide that the temperature. The temperature of chemistry of the right side of this picture is of course below 3000 degrees, and if you study the reactions or whatever processes below 3000 degrees, you must always conserve the chemistry. You must always avoid interaction input of chemistry inside your system. To my opinion, and not only to mine, this society, I hope that since Louis Kevran we know that transmutation is confirmed, and at least something easy transmutation exists in the first two periods in the Mendeleev periodic table, as it is shown here. Somehow these reactions occurred easier, transmutation in these first two periods occurred easier compared to the lower part of the periodic table. And just I'm waiting for someone who will systematize this energetic scale of the transmutation in the nearest future. I would like to remind you also that the example of Leonard is the best is photosynthesis. If you can take this very crazy easy experiment, you take a grain of something, place it into the distilled water, cover it by someone which penetrate the air but not the dust, you will get the tree. The mass increasing here is 1000%, and if you get this green tree, assuming that you have also the light, you will get the chlorophyll, and chlorophyll is a magnesium-contained porphyrinic cycle, as it is seen here. So magnesium is coming either from the distilled water or from air, and we definitely know that it's not so. So this is the best example. Actually, nature is of course much cleverer than we are, and the nature already do the transmutation in very soft, easy conditions. I don't speak about the transmutation in the live bodies like we are in the fauna, not only in flora objects, because we can say that we are full of iron. Our blood is red. This iron is also porphyrinic cycle, and we can say that we can consume iron from the apples or whatever meat. But how about these animals who never eat it, who just eat the grass which has no iron? And I don't speak about calcium. We are full of calcium, and if to consider that we have calcium from external sources, it means that we should drink several liters of milk per day. But we don't do it. Of course, iron and magnesium, as well as calcium and other elements, easily synthesized in our bodies. So I'm Russian. I would like to remind you the Russian heritage. Also, in the field of Leonard, still Russians are far ahead the existing Leonard work, approximately 20 years ahead, to my estimation. And if everyone speaking here, of course, about Fleischmann-Pons after this Fleischmann-Pons scandal 20 years ago. But I would like to repeat that Russians, including the works of Filimoninko and Bolotov, Russian geniuses, their works in Leonard started in 60s, not maybe in 50s, and unfortunately Russian results are protected from the society, the Russian language. It's so pity, but I recommend you to learn Russian language and to read the original works of Bolotov. So his discoveries, it's a genius, really. He made discoveries in cosmology, in physics, chemistry, whatever, so science, philosophy. But in chemistry and physics, the main his discovery is photosynthesis and beta synthesis, two forms of the life on Earth, and both of them are the result of transmutation, of course. Yes. Also he proposed the low energy nuclear reactions by action of electric current in the early 60s. Also periodic table of isosteric elements, more than 10,000 elements. He claimed that between the existing isotopes you can find also the same isospheres. What does it mean? It means that the neutrons and protons have actually crystalline structure. The nuclei have a crystalline structure. The atom nucleus has a crystalline structure consisting of neutrons and protons, and then depending on different configuration they could make these crystals, nuclear crystals, and this crystallinity is fundamental property of the matter, and of course you can see the crystallinity inside nucleus, inside the massive bodies, and then inside galactic space and whatever. So try to achieve his publications on the internet, unfortunately only available in Russian language. For the plasma electrolysis, coming to this topic, what we know about that? Several books published on plasma electrolysis, and this is a method of mostly nanoparticles preparation, say method from the normal science, from particle science. It's known since the beginning of 19th century, and also a method of not particles only, but hydrogen production and surface modification. But sun in the bottle, we know since Mizuno-san and Monsieur Nodon, and this you can find a lot of publications on this topic also in the internet. And it is intensively developed recently by several Russian groups. The most familiar for you and for me as well, it's a group of Bezhutov, who several years working on this topic. And the experimental scheme is crazy easy, and I was actually excited by several Italian groups who already applied this for the educational process. They already do the plasma electrolysis with the students as a laboratory work for the students. It's impressively interesting, of course. So mostly during this process, the society divided on according to two arrows into these big studies. The first part of the society studied mostly excess energy release, and according to the last publication of, I think, Indonesian guys, Saxono, it's 800% efficiency compared to Faraday electrolysis, and for the steam generation, hydrogen generation on the left side, but no one actually, nearly no one studied transmutation during plasma electrolysis, and because it's obvious, because methodologically it's much more complex, and you need to work with a super pure and super clean conditions. So we study in frame of our say games with this interesting stuff. We studied several metals, starting from lead, stainless steel, whatever, copper, and use a very simple low voltage device which you can buy for €2,000 in the eBay or whatever. It's a low voltage, low current, less than 3 ampere and less than 300 volt DC source, and using the most primitive electrical scheme in the world, I say you can get this sun in the bottle and try to study it. What can I say? The processes accompany this plasma electrolysis are mostly chemical, of course, and I repeat that you cannot exclude chemistry from your games, even if you are a nuclear physicist. And that's why we must actually create international and interdisciplinary teams to study this process. But mostly, as I learned, it's only chemistry, nothing, no magic, nothing magic. So it's the bubbles forming on which is claimed as plasma, formed as on the cathode is just the burning of evolved hydrogen in water, nothing else, including the second reaction. Also, we have the oxidation, of course, of the cathode. We cannot avoid it. Later, okay, might be, and we could check it in future. Also, we found radio frequency noise from this process and a very low level of gamma rays, several microsievert per day, even per week, I think. Looking at this table, on the very left column, we try different cathodes, and so the cathodes, of course, dissolve during this process, and this sometimes is very, say, high percentage. You see, like until 18% of dissolved material. Normally, it's not assumed by the community, and we worked in the very dissolved solution of the sodium hydroxide, whatever. Actually, we tried both neutral salts, alkalis, and acids, and everything is successful. Then, moving to the right side of this table, different electrical characteristics. We measured just the amount of evaporated water, and we found, according to our measurement, that the efficiency compared to joule or say ohm water heating is 25 or 2,500%. But it's not COP. I repeat that it's not COP. It's the efficiency of plasma electrolysis as a vapor producer or say water boiler compared to the normal Faraday electrolysis. So methodologically, I would like to say that you must pay, when you study this process, please pay attention on what you get as a form of solution, and we need to study also what has happened, what ions are formed inside this solution. We need to study the side distribution or some basic characteristics of the powder produced by this method, and we need to study the cathode. The cathode, of course, sometimes have some transmuted structures, like, for example, we found the appearance of aluminum, of a huge amount of aluminum, several percent, in the if to use the iron zinc cathode. Actually, we played with all metals, I repeat. And please, sometimes when being here, I listen to the presentation, I imagine that all periodic table consists only of palladium, nickel, and hydrogen. It's not so. Transmutation is possible for all elements and for all the all elements from the periodic table. And I attract your attention to play also with some others. So, they resume many metals, including stainless, black steel, whatever, tungsten, molybdenum. We tried for the plasma electrolysis, and all of them are successful. So we got this glowing of the cathode glowing for all of them. The efficiency is very high compared to home boiling, and recently we tried to develop them already the apparatus, real apparatus on the basis of this phenomenon. Transmutation should be studied, should be executed and studied only with very pure reagents and materials. The majority of team, I say, working is super dirty materials, and if something appears, some new elements appear, it's of course noise or something, dust coming from the air. When natrium appeared, I heard funny presentation when people found a lot of sodium, natrium, in the elemental composition of the transmuted system, but this just was a result of the sweat coming from the researchers who work with these powders. We found that stainless steel is the best electrode materials for the method commercialization, but not only commercialization, also deep introduction of this method to the society, to the academic society. The more students we will learn, the more academics we will involve, the faster we will get the real results of this interesting phenomenon. Last year we published 2 books, which actually must be reviewed now according to the transportation. Thank you so much for your attention. And just I would like to say that recently I have a discussion several weeks ago. I have a discussion with one European bureaucrat connected with the Euro Commission, and I push him to open the call in frame of Horizon 2020 to open the call on the Länder. He said, "Oh, you are the Länder society, you are Ku Klux Klan. You are citing each other, so you are just working with each other, so normal science will not recognize you." So the more we will show our results to the community, the better the community will understand us, and the faster the calls on 2020 will appear for the Länder. Thank you. Thank you.
We have time for some questions, please.
We thought that the stainless steel is one of the best material, but stainless steel is a general name. Which kind of stainless steel? 304, 306, 11, which kind? Yes.
Actually,
because the composition is very, very different.
I recommend you to start with the spoons from your kitchen.
Okay.
I have the same question to you, which I had earlier on for Peter. You even talked yourself about commercialization. When?
Yes. I am not the rich man who really do the commercialization, who really connected with the big money or something. I am from academic